Alright, now it's time for the long one. Oh. Today I just want to show you how to marry in with the existing cornice and just how to install new stuff. So the procedure for me is usually preparing the joins where the old cornice is going to meet the new cornice, and then once that's all prepared we can measure in all of the cornice, and that way when we mix up our cornice adhesive we can just get as much of the cornice on as possible before the adhesive sets. Now I've just cut two little pieces of cornice, each with a left hand and a right hand internal corner, and then left hand right hand external corner. So we've got an internal corner up here. We're just going to use this to trace the angle we need to cut and the line, and then we'll use our multi-tool to cut the old plaster, and then we can butt our new plaster into that corner. Alright, the next thing you want to do is measure either down from your ceiling or across from the wall the amount that your cornice is. So if you get a 55mm cove or a 90mm cove, that 55 or that 90mm measurement is how far you measure down from the ceiling. So I've been measuring down from the ceiling. So there's 55mm between here and that line, and then I draw a big tick towards that line so that when things start getting messy with glue and cornice adhesive, I can tell where I should be looking to see whether my cornice is on the mark or not. It's not hard to imagine you can have it too far up or too far down. What we want is the perfect amount of roll between the ceiling and the wall. Alright, when we're measuring, we just measure from corner to corner, and then at the end, once we've measured all the pieces, we'll make a bit of a shopping list. Also, one thing to note is when you measure your cornice, measure it as accurately as possible and then deduct 5mm. The reason we deduct 5mm is you make up that difference with the cornice adhesive, and it just gives you wiggle room, and it doesn't matter if it's a bit gappy, you fill those up anyway. Whereas if it's too tight and you put the glue on the piece of cornice and you just can't get it to fit, it's an absolute nightmare to kind of rectify that. So just deduct 5mm off the length and you should be in the clear. Alright, we got a off-cut of plaster here. This will be our notepad. Now you just want to walk around the room reading out all your numbers. And then so our first one is 1322, and then we want to make note of whether it's internal or external on the left or right. So for the left hand side of the piece of cornice, I'm going to write to the left of the number, which is an internal corner, so I just write INT, shorthand for internal, and then on the other side it's going to be an external. This should all make sense when we start cutting them, which I'll show you in a second. But we just, make note of our measurements, internal, external, whether it's the right or left, and then cut them all in one hit. Alright, you always want to start by cutting your longest length. That way if you make a mistake, you can cut it up into smaller pieces and still use it elsewhere. Now I'll show you this miter box here. Pretty much impossible to do this job without one of these. And just a crappy old handsaw for cutting plaster. Now this is specifically made for cutting cornice. There's a step in it at 55mm, 75mm and 90mm. So you can see here the steps, and just with an offcut here, that's how we rest our 55mm in, on that 55mm step. And then that way when we cut it, it'll be the perfect 45 cut. Now I'll tell you now, the top edge of the cornice always butts in to that step. If you're struggling to wrap your head around it, you can cut off a few little short pieces like we did earlier, and then just label them. So this is the top, bottom, left, right of an external, and then that's the top, that's the bottom, left and right. So you can reference these just to make sure you're cutting things right, and just use these to double check you're doing the right thing. Alright, another tricky thing, which can work in your favour. This is an external and this is an internal. Now they butt together perfectly. So sometimes if you're cutting a long length into 2 or 3 shorter sections, your offcut might already have the cut you need on it. So you can use that to your advantage. Depending on what cut you've already got, will help you decide what length to cut next. So this here is an internal right hand corner. So then we can look at our list and pick one that needs that and then cut it to length. Alright, this length is a 960, so we've hooked onto the end. Come along and we've made a mark here. Now what you want to do is just line that mark up with the groove in the miter box, depending on which internal or external you need to cut. But always mark on the bottom, and remember that the top always sits in these grooves, and that way when you cut this, you know you've got it right and it won't be upside down or back to front. Now for the cleanest cuts, you always want to drag through the face of the plaster as opposed to pushing. So you can imagine when you drag, you're pulling the paper in behind where you won't see it, whereas if you push, you can fray out the cardboard and the paper on the front of the plaster. There we go. Alright, we're ready to butter up our cornice with our Cornice cement. Now you just grab a tub, fill it up with water, and then add the powder till it's a toothpaste consistency. Now this stuff goes off in about an hour, which means it sets or goes hard, so you kind of want to be quick with this. Now you only need a little bit on the top and bottom edges of the cornice. You want to keep a bucket of water handy so you can just keep things as clean as possible and wipe off any excess once you've scraped it up. Now I like to scrape up the excess with what is called a small tool. You'll buy this wherever you bought your plaster, your cornice and your cornice adhesive from. So these are pretty handy. A couple of scrapers and that's it. So you just want to set your stool up. Now one other thing to remember is write your numbers on the cornice the way that you would read them. So this one here has 1322, and I know that the way the number is written, that this is the bottom and this is the top. And don't forget to put some on the very ends. And now we're ready to throw this on the ceiling. Alright, just push into the middle, not so much the top or the bottom. You just want to push it in nice and even, and then keep an eye on your marks. And then just run along with your small tool and clean up the bulk of the excess. That'll do for now. We can clean up the rest with a sponge once we've stuck as many bits of cornice on as we can. Sticking them on is the priority while the adhesive is still wet, so that'll do for now. We'll move on to the next piece. Alright, the cornice cement that I had in that bucket was just getting way too hard to use, so I quickly ran out and emptied it and washed out the tub while I could. Clean tub and clean tools is really helpful for doing plastering, so now there's all my fingerprints and stuff all over the cornice, so I'm going to just use a sponge now to rub that off. So anyway, that's enough talking. We'll just mop this up really quick, mix up another batch, and then put the next lot of cornice onto the walls and ceiling. Try keep the wiping to a minimum. Now if you do start rubbing through the paper on the cornice. Just leave it, let it all dry, and then come back and just sand it with sandpaper. Alright, here's a close-up of just a pretty good example of what you want to be looking at for an internal corner and an external corner. For the longer ones, you want to put some nails in. That'll help support it while you get it in place. Now you probably saw me struggle with that one. Well, first of all, it flopped out, but lucky I was quick enough to get it in position, got at least one corner right, that internal corner, and then it was too long at that external corner, so I just zipped a bit off with the multi-tool, and that went right in. So we'll just tidy up all of these. Alright, as I mentioned earlier, this stuff dries pretty quick, so by the time we mop up the last piece, the first piece that we put on is probably ready for some top coat. So we'll just run it through now, top coat everything, and then let it dry and sand it back and get everything looking nice and neat. Now another thing too is you're always going to make a mess doing this kind of stuff, so make sure you're using lots of drop cloths. Not only use drop cloths in the area you're working, lay down like a pathway from inside to outside so you can have access to water and buckets and things like that. So drop cloths are essential, and other than that, hot tip, it should be pretty easy. So time to get into the top coat. We'll let it dry, we'll sand it back and sand it, fill it, sand it, fill it till it looks good. So I'll leave it here and we'll come back to some beauty shots once everything's finished.